How did he compare to what you might have initially expected him to be like?
You know, not at all. He's a very intelligent man and a very kind and generous and humble and open person, which was a surprise to me given his position and given what he had done. So I think as a scientist, we interrogate life, we interrogate the world with a certain precision. And Ray, I feel, does that with people. He manages and gets the best performance out of the people around him, but he's very rigorous and he has very high standards. And you should know exactly what you need to say. And I can say that I worked with Nobel laureates in my life. So I can tell you that I've been with people who are the brightest, and he has a sharp intelligence that is not to be fooled with. When you're there with him, you better be ready to bring your A game, you know?
So he comes to you about leading OceanX. You mentioned you aren't an oceanographer. What was the thought process on your end in determining whether or not you wanted to do this?
You know, I asked him that. I said, why would you want it? He said, either if you take the job, you're either stupid because you think you know about oceanography, or you're willing to be open and learn about it. And I said, well, it's definitely the latter. But, you know, the oceans need us, and they need Ray, and they need me, and they need everybody. I mean, it's the toilet of the world to be, you know, we don't think about it. We don't care about it. Every second breath comes from the ocean, right? It takes care of our climate. It does so many things for us. And in return, we give it too much acid, we give it pollution, we overfish it, you know, we run over whales in our boats. So the open ocean is just the wild, wild west. So it needs us to recognize that, you know, like they always used to say, there's not a no peeing section of the pool, right? We're all living in the same pool, you know, so you got to take care of your part of the world because it spreads everywhere. So, you know, we cannot continue to treat the ocean the way we have. And that's the result of lack of care and lack of people knowing what's going on down there. So I felt, you know, firsthand knowledge, firsthand witnessing this thing, and that we need to fix this. The humans it's capable of doing it. We need to do it. And Ray, to me, is the best option almost in the world to do this because he's intelligent, he is motivated, he's inspired by it, and he has the resources.
Why do you think, given that ocean exploration is not paid the same sort of attention as space exploration?
Well, we actually studied this pretty heavy at the very beginning when we got here. We brought people in that know how to look at this kind of thing and examine the public opinion. And the takeaway was that one of them is that we don't have sort of an Elon Musk, right? We don't have, and we need to get one. The second thing is historically the ocean has been portrayed as dangerous, a little scary, and people die in it. And of course, science fiction has given us the unknown. We're probably not going to find aliens in the ocean in the same way that we're going to somehow find them in space. But the reality is quite different. The reality is exactly the opposite. You know, it's got all kinds of creatures that are unbelievable. You know, when you get in a sub and you go down, your heart rate doesn't go down. It's up the entire time. So our goal is to bring that back to the people as best as we can and show them what's out there and, you know, get the world excited about the ocean so they can be better stewards of it.
So what's been involved on your end with actually designing this new ship?
You know, the thing was sort of like a pickup truck when we got it. It was like a big flatbed on the back. And we had to build an entire superstructure. And we said, we need to make the absolute best vehicle in the world. And we need one that can operate simultaneously with lots of different needs: submersibles, helicopters, ROVs, scuba diving, you know, state-of-the-art laboratories, you know, and a media center that was enormous and could capture what we were doing to the degree we were doing it. And so it became a 3-year process. It was such a huge boat, but then, you know, somewhere in the middle of the process, we realized we didn't have any room left on the boat. So saying no was the hardest part. Was everybody wanted more of everything. I sometimes wonder whether it was easier just to build the boat from scratch than to take, you know, a boat that was a real utility boat and turn it into a state-of-art vessel. It might have been easier at the end of the day, but I'm not really sure. I think we did a good job. So I really can't complain.
What would you say your long-term goals are with all of this?
I mean, the unique model, I think, of OceanX is that it's not just the scientific exploration, but to have behavioral impact on people, to have people think about the ocean differently, to feel it's less dangerous, it's more exciting. We're trying to inspire the next generation of oceanographers and marine biologists to come and join. We're trying to inspire the world. So if I'd say in 5 years, 10 years, if we really had a global brand of the ocean and we could enlighten the ocean and the ocean was on everybody's mind as much as, say, climate change is, I think we would have achieved our goal.
How about your favorite trip that you and Ray have taken together so far?
I think it was the first one. For me, the Solomon Islands had so many things in it as a place. You know, it's the site of Guadalcanal. We came across wrecks, planes in the ocean that probably nobody even knew were there. And then underwater is just a fantastically undiscovered area. And we were diving one night. We were studying fluorescent coral, and we came upon probably the largest collection that I've ever seen in my life, and probably most people have, of flashlight fish on a reef at night in a shallow water. And it was the most shocking, striking, out of body experience I've ever had. We discovered 135 new fluorescent fish, which we didn't know existed, and coral and everything. So that, I think that holds my heart, because it was my first submersible dive, and it was my first time seeing bioluminescence in the deep ocean.
How has COVID impacted plans?
Well, you know, I sat in a hotel room for a week, and and everybody has to sit in a hotel room. Well, the problem is that we have this multinational group of people. So people coming from Australia that normally would go back home for a month, they have to go home and quarantine for a month, for 2 weeks in their home country and pay for it. And then when they return, they have to quarantine a week before they get on the boat. So they lose 3 weeks of their 1 month off time. So a lot of people just said, I'm not going to go home. So we've had people here on the boat for 9 months without getting off the boat, because if they leave, they're going to have to quarantine, and so it's and then testing everybody. But we have to do that because it's impossible to do social distancing when you're in a submersible and you're breathing the same air over and over again for 8 hours. So it's and scuba diving tanks, and the whole thing is just not possible. We have to establish a clean environment.
Lastly, correct me if I'm wrong, this is Ray's first time aboard the ship coming up?
He will be for the first time on the ship, so we're really excited. He's seen the ship during its stages of building, but I have to say that I was with him the last time he saw the boat, and it was having wires hanging and the walls were unfinished. So yeah, I'm sure his eyes are going to be wide open. I think his son Mark will take him for a walk around and show him, because Mark was really instrumental in engineering and designing a lot of the media components of the vessel and how the layout was. And so Mark's very proud, and rightfully so, of his enormous contributions to the vessel.